Picture this, a doctor, 12 years of school, $100,000 in student debt, residency, sleepless nights, board exams. By 45, she's earning $300,000 a year. She has a beautiful home in a good neighborhood, 2 cars, private school for the kids, nice vacations, the whole picture. Now here's the part nobody talks about. At 60, she can't retire, not comfortably, not without cutting everything back. Meanwhile, across town, a woman who scraped through high school, skipped college entirely, opened a small landscaping business in her mid-20s, reinvested every dollar back into it, bought a small piece of commercial real estate in her 30s. By 55, she's worth $2 million. She hasn't worked a 9-to-5 in a decade. Same city, same time period, completely different outcomes. How does that happen? We were all handed the same formula growing up. Study hard, get good grades, get into a good university, land a high-paying job. That's the path to wealth. That's what the guidance counselor said. That's what our parents believed. That's what the whole education system was quietly designed to produce. And here's the thing. The formula works. It absolutely produces high income. A law degree, a medical degree, an MBA from a decent school. These consistently push people into the top 10% of earners. But here's the problem nobody warned us about. High income is not the same thing as wealth. Income is what lands in your account every month. Wealth is what you own. And for millions of smart, educated, hardworking people, that distinction never gets made clear. They spend decades optimizing for the paycheck, and one day they look up and realize the paycheck is the plan. There's no mountain, just another rung on the ladder. Here's what the trap actually looks like. You graduate, maybe with debt. You land a decent job. You upgrade your apartment because you've earned it. A few years pass. You get a raise. You upgrade the car. You get married. You buy the house, the one in the right school district, not the cheapest one. Your income keeps rising. So does everything else. The vacations, the renovations, the subscriptions, the dinners. This is called lifestyle inflation, and it's almost invisible when you're inside it. Here's a number that should stop you cold. Federal Reserve surveys consistently find that a large portion of American households, including many earning 6 figures, couldn't cover a $400 emergency without borrowing. Not people living in poverty, people with good jobs, good titles, good addresses. Why? Because their entire income is already spoken for. The mortgage, the car payment, the student loans that never quite went away, the credit cards carrying a balance from last Christmas. What looks like wealth from the outside, the house, the car, the lifestyle, is mostly borrowed. And the income that should be building something real is quietly draining into things that lose value the moment you buy them. The trap isn't that you're failing. The trap is that everything looks like success while the clock keeps ticking. Now here's the part that's genuinely surprising. Smart people don't just fall into this trap by accident. In many ways, their intelligence is part of what keeps them stuck. Think about what high academic performance actually trains you to do. Analyze before acting, seek certainty, avoid mistakes, get the right answer before you commit. Those are brilliant skills for a career. They are, in many cases, terrible instincts for building wealth. Because wealth, real wealth, almost always requires doing something before you're certain. Starting something before you have all the answers. Taking a calculated risk before the outcome is guaranteed. Researchers call it analysis paralysis. Intelligent people see every risk clearly, every possible failure mode, every reason this might not work. And so they wait. They research the perfect stock portfolio for 3 years before investing a rupee. They write the business plan and never launch. They see the opportunity, understand it completely, and let someone else take it. There's also something else, something more subtle. Intelligent people are very good at getting promoted, at rising through hierarchies, at earning respect inside institutions. And that success is reinforcing. The feedback loop works. Work harder, do better, earn more. The problem is that feedback loop is linear. You get paid for your time, more money. But the ceiling is always the same, 24 hours in a day and a market rate for your skill. The wealthiest people in the world don't operate on that feedback loop at all. This is where everything changes. There are two fundamentally different ways to participate in an economy. You can work for money, or you can own things that work for you. An employee trades time for money, directly. Every month the exchange happens. An owner does something different. An owner captures value from a business, from real estate, from equity, value that grows whether they're working or not. Think about this. A talented marketing manager might earn $80,000 a year. Good salary. She works hard. She's valuable, and her company knows it. The founder of that company, who maybe isn't smarter than her, maybe isn't working harder than her, might be building an equity stake worth tens of millions. Same company, same building, same work environment, completely different financial reality. Because one person works there, the other person owns it. And this pattern repeats across every form of wealth creation. The person renting an apartment builds nothing. The person owning the building builds equity every month, some from rent, some from the mortgage paying down, some from the property appreciating. The person keeping cash in a savings account watches inflation slowly eat it. The person holding an index fund owns tiny pieces of hundreds of companies growing in value every year. Income pays your bills this month. Ownership builds your life 10 years from now. The wealthy don't have some magical secret. What they have is this distinction burned into their decision-making so deeply that it shapes every financial choice they make. Here's the analogy. Imagine two farmers. One of them harvests everything he grows. Every season he eats well, lives comfortably, has a full table. But each year he starts over from scratch. The other farmer keeps planting. He eats a little less today. He reinvests the seeds. Year 1, the harvest is small. Year 2, slightly bigger. Year 10, he's feeding the whole village. That's compounding. Einstein reportedly called it the eighth wonder of the world. Whether he actually said it doesn't matter, the math makes the point on its own. $10,000 invested at 10% annual returns doesn't just add $1,000 a year, it adds $1,000 the first year, then $1,100, then $1,210, then $1,331. After 30 years, that original $10,000 is worth nearly $175,000 without you doing anything. Now contrast that with a salary. Salaries grow roughly linearly. A 5% raise this year, maybe 7% next year if you're lucky. Meaningful, yes. But the ceiling is always your time, your hours, your energy. Compound growth has no ceiling like that. The problem is compounding needs time. And the people spending their 20s and 30s on lifestyle inflation are burning the exact years that compounding needs most. The most expensive thing most smart people buy isn't their house. It's the decade they spent not investing. Thomas Stanley spent years studying actual millionaires. Not the ones on television, not the ones with the flashiest Instagram profiles, the real ones. And what he found was almost offensive in how simple it was. Most of them didn't look wealthy. They lived in middle-class neighborhoods. They drove practical cars. They wore nothing remarkable. What they had instead was ownership. Most were self-employed or ran small businesses. They reinvested profits instead of upgrading their lifestyle. They bought assets, real estate, stocks, equity stakes consistently over long periods without stopping. They were almost aggressively frugal about consumption and almost aggressive in the opposite direction about investment. The clearest pattern across all of them? They paid themselves last in terms of lifestyle and first in terms of ownership. Every raise, every bonus, every windfall, a significant chunk went to buying something that would work for them later, not something that would impress someone else now. This isn't about deprivation. It's not about living miserably. It's about understanding the difference between spending money and deploying it. Spent money is gone. Deployed money comes back and brings more with it. So let's come back to the doctor and the guy with the landscaping business. The doctor isn't broke because she's bad with money. She's not. She's brilliant. She's in the trap because nobody told her the second half of the formula. School taught her how to earn. Nobody taught her how to own. The landscaping guy didn't stumble into wealth by accident either. He just maybe, without even being able to articulate it, understood that the goal was never the income. The goal was the asset. the business, the property, the thing that generates income without requiring him specifically to show up every single day. The gap between high income and high wealth isn't usually intelligence. It's not discipline in the conventional sense. It's not even hard work. It's understanding the difference between earning and owning, and then choosing to build ownership even when earning feels like enough. The formula was never wrong. It was just incomplete. Study hard, earn well, then use that income deliberately, consistently, to buy things that earn for you. If you are ambitious like me and want to deep dive into wealth psychology, personal finance, smart investing, and side hustles, make sure you hit the subscribe button and become the part of the high-achieving community.